All right, good morning, everybody. It is morning here in New York, 8 a.m. Um, Glad to see you guys from all over. Uh, One of the things that I'm doing over here is I am practicing what I tell you guys all the time, which is I really came to New York this time to spend 10 days for really 40 seconds. That's what I did. I don't have my phone here, but basically what I did is you will see that in future. Just trying to look for my phone. Um, so my phone here, right? Um, Before I start, one thing that I'm always doing is a long time ago, I studied from this man called Dan Kennedy. He is like the godfather of direct response marketing. And Dan Kennedy said this. He said, people will pay you not for what you know, but for who you are. And you got to spend time, he called it whoing, creating a bigger who. Okay, and ever since I learned that and I understood that concept, I'm always thinking about how do I invest my time, focus to becoming a bigger who in the marketplace. So to give you an idea, by the way, flying from Malaysia coming here is a super long. I actually boarded the longest flight in the world. The longest flight in the world right now is from Singapore to New York as a direct one way, no stops, no transit. I took that flight on Singapore Airlines. It was not 18 hours and 50 minutes. Okay, non-stop, 18 hours, 50 minutes. Just so that I can spend half a minute on this. You can't really see it, but like, so this is like the New York Times Jumbotron, and I appeared on the Jumbotron for like 30 seconds. Okay, let me just tell you that 30 seconds on this thing is pretty ridiculous. Okay, anyway, so yes, a 19-hour flight one way, um, tens and thousands of dollars in expenses, flights, hotels for 30 seconds. Now, why do I do that? I do that to show you guys an example of, now I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm asking you to spend time to build and become a bigger who in your marketplace. How you guys do that? You guys do that through social media, through generating content, through doing the things that um, I do, that I'm constantly telling you guys to do as well, so that you can make a bigger, become a bigger who. You know, the example I used in a recent event, it was a property event in Singapore, where it was the biggest was the biggest agency in Singapore, PropNext. But basically on stage, I gave an example. And I put two people up on screen, and one person was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I gave the example of how I said, Arnold, just about slightly over a year ago, he made a tweet on Twitter. And he said, for $20,000, anybody can come and train with me at my home for a day. We'll work out together, and we'll hang out. 20K one day at my home. He was selling 12 spots to do that, and he sold the 12 spots of $20,000 in about 3 hours from a tweet, 2 sentences. Okay, and then I put another picture up next to Arnold. Okay, so now the picture of Arnold is like him today. It's like nothing like the Terminator, right? It's him in this in his today's picture. On the right hand side, I put the first page the first result that I got on Google Images that said guy with six-pack abs. Okay, so it's this guy here, super lean looking, shredded. Okay, but he's like, you wouldn't know who he is. I don't know who he is. He's just guy with six-pack abs. Then I asked the audience, which is something I want you to think about as well. I said, look at guy with six-pack abs who's shredded, and imagine he's your personal trainer. I want you to imagine what guy with six-pack abs need to do for you to pay him $20,000. Think about that right now. What does guy with six-pack abs need to do for you so that you will pay him $20,000? Chances are some of you might say, this guy better train me every single day for a year. This guy, on top of that, better cook for me all my meals. On top of that, he better wash my clothes on his abs every single day for me to pay him $20K, right? That's what guy with six-pack abs need to do in order for me to depart $20K of my hard-earned money to give him. So up to this point, we've been talking about the offer, right? We've been talking a lot about creating more value through proven presentations, through the open, through the offer, through the stack, so that people buy from you. And so that people see the offer as compelling. But the point I'm trying to make is that's one part, okay? But on the other hand, it's also spending time to become that bigger who. I want you to imagine that it is like a weighing scale, okay? And then there's like a fulcrum, you know, the thing that balances, right? So that's the fulcrum, right? Now, most of the time, to get people to buy and tip it over, most people are constantly adding more value here, right? Add more value, because here's the price, right? People are thinking between the value and the price. So people are thinking more, putting more value in here so that it goes this way, right? But spending time on being a bigger who moves that fulcrum so that you don't have to give that much value in order to get them to buy, which is what Arnold did, right? So if you ask the 12 people who spent $20K to hang out with Arnold in a day, and if you ask them, why did you pay Arnold $20K? Because chances are Arnold, he doesn't know as much as guy with six-pack abs today. Maybe back in the day he would have, but he's not even in the game anymore. His body is nowhere in shape like how it used to be. He probably will not get you results faster than guy with six-pack abs. So how is it possible that Arnold can sell $240K through a tweet in 3 hours? It is because some people would say, well, because he's Arnold, right? He has become a celebrity in his market because of who he is. So back to the opening of this call today, it is people will give you money not necessarily because of your offer, but because of who you are in the marketplace. So how do you spend time becoming a bigger who? Right up to this point, we've always talked about the value, the slide deck. But the next thing I want you to start thinking about is, how do I spend time in my marketplace becoming a bigger who? The thing that has enabled all of us to do so has been social media, creating content, videos, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Those are the new channels. Okay, now we are not at that section yet where I'm going to be talking about traffic, because I noticed that most of you still want to talk about the offer, the tweaks, the funnel. So that's where we're spending our time and focus. But right now, I want you to be able to understand that in this section where we are still talking about our offer and proven presentations, what will enable you to charge more is not, of course, it is the offer, the stack, and all of that. But something that's always in your audience mind is also, remember, they will be able to pay you more, even though you may not necessarily know more than somebody else, but they will pay you. There's somebody, put it this way, there's somebody else in your marketplace right now who is charging a lot more than you, but they may not necessarily know more than you. But they are able to charge more than you just because they have better positioning in the marketplace. Okay? And that is the only reason why sometimes I do things that has no tangible ROI. Right? You speak to a very shrewd business person that's good with numbers. And if this person said, Peng Joon, so how much did you spend in that trip and that flight and the time and the hotel and an investment to go to NASDAQ and beyond that Jumbotron? That number will shock a lot of people. But because it's not tangible in the short term, it's an intangible return. Okay, so what does that mean for you? Okay, I want to start off with this layer since I'm here, and that's exactly what I did. I'm spending like nearly 2 weeks here in New York. It's extremely brutal to fly like 20 plus hours here just for like half a minute and then go back. So I'm doing a few different things in here as well, but ultimately that was the goal of this trip. Okay, and to relate back to each and every one of you, right now, the opportunity that this has given us is that this has given us the opportunity to build our own show, to build up a bigger who in our marketplace through social media, through Facebook, through Instagram. Okay, so today I want to continue from where we left off, which is, okay, let me just start off by showing you like where we are, okay, because some of you may not necessarily see like where we're headed, okay, and I always want to make sure that you guys see the big picture. So I'm just going to start off by sharing my screen real quick, and then after that we'll do some hot seats. Okay, so so this is my screen, which is the framework of our third phase, right, of $1 million creation. Now, right up to this point, we've talked about the objections and consideration. We start off phase 3 by understanding what it is that are people objections and consideration. We talk about the one concept. We talk about 3 secrets. We talk about proven presentations, which is where we're at right now. And we're going to spend some time here because once we get this part figured out for you, and then the rest is just, it's easy, right? Slide deck is just design, which you could do yourself or hand it over to like a pro to get it done. And after that, it's just the funnel pages and then launching the webinar, driving traffic using content multiplier formula, which is building a bigger who, and then tweaking those funnels. So right up to this point, sometimes we've been doing some funnel tweaks. We've been doing some offer tweaks in the past. But I want to continue. I do not want to move on to step number 5 until step number 4 has clarity for the majority of you. Okay. So this is where I'm going to bounce between doing the tweaks and giving feedback on proven presentations. Okay, so one of the things that I just want to start off with this as well. We received good questions from you guys for the coaching, but one thing I want to mention is this: when you email my team, you got to understand that I want to be able to put things into context. Okay, so some questions that I've received from you guys were questions like, Peng Joon, I've got this potential JV deal with this guy. He's well-known celebrity, and then like you gave me like this huge, like a 5-page write-up on a potential deal. Okay, so here's a couple of things that will benefit you and everybody else here. Okay, understand that I can't look through a 5-page JV deal to tell you if it's a good JV deal. That's not what this coaching session is about. The coaching sessions are to get clarity on these few things, okay? Which is helping you do the offer tweak, which is really like what makes a great offer, which is like the start of this entire thing. If you do not know what your offer is right now, then send in what you think your offer might be in the whatever market, and that's where we can coach you how you can create a good offer, finding out what is the blue ocean in that red ocean. Okay, so that is the first piece. Okay, another one when sending to us would be, for example, your presentation slide deck. That's great. So presentation slide deck, I'll be able to look through, but most importantly, it's this. It's that everybody else who's on the call will be able to benefit as well, because everybody now needs to do a presentation, whether it's through a webinar, but everybody needs the slide deck. So they will be able to learn through you when you submit that slide deck. Okay, that's the next one. The third one would be your funnel, which is like what we did with Harm last week, right? When he shared his numbers. Well, not last week, last session. So when you do that, and when we can walk through the numbers, everybody's aligned as well, and they can learn through you when you submit those questions. It's only when things are outside of that scope, when you're asking things like, you know, life directions or whatever it may be, okay, then it might be tough for everybody else to relate to how they can actually benefit from that. Okay, so this is not one-on-one coaching. This has got to be within the context of the coaching sessions. Okay, hope that makes sense. Okay, so I will only look at and coach the questions that came in based on that framework of mindset. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to acknowledge Jason Kopp for taking the plunge into the unknown and doing his very first webinar. So let's all give him a round of applause over here, right? And celebrate that success. Here's the thing, okay? You remember when Jason was not here in the last session? I didn't want to say it, but I know, like really, I really know that every single person that made it big today, nobody, well, I don't know anybody anyway, did well in their first attempt. Nobody. Like really, nobody. Okay? The top closers in the world, not a single person did well. And in fact, here's why I don't think it is a blessing to do well on a first attempt. It is because in every first attempt, if you did well, even though I don't know anybody who did well in the first attempt, I feel it would be way more damaging in the long run, because that gives this person a false sense of confidence. Like, well, look at me. I've got this huge gift in speaking, and I don't really need to learn or grow anymore. Okay, every single top speaker in the world today bombed, including me, including Russell Brunson, including Les Brown, including Brendon Burchard, all these guys, okay, all bombed. Okay, so I want you to know that bombing and not doing well is all part and parcel of the thing. And I want all of you guys to bomb. I want all of you to do that first attempt, and know, because I can tell you that will be the greatest learning experience, even though we don't want to bomb, right? Nobody wants to bomb, nobody wants to suck, but sucking is exactly what's necessary in order to be good. It's just part and parcel of the journey. Okay, and the people that stick to it will be the people who do well. Okay, so Jason, since you are a mega action taker, I always want to give priority to the people that take action. Let's take a look at your slide deck first, and then I'm going to let me just download it right now, and then I'll share my screen. Okay. Okay, Jason, I'm going to unmute you right now. Are you there?
Yes, yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Jason. Okay,
Yes.
let's start off with tell us how you feel now that you've done your very first webinar.
Okay, actually, 6 months ago, I do an auto webinar, but actually the result not very good. So because I need to practice, so I decided to start my first live webinar. Then it's very scary. Yeah, it's very scary, but I need to do it anyway. So my first webinar, boom, technical issue. So my Wi-Fi got problem. So my audience total about 7 people show up. They cannot see my slide. Okay, so I got no choice but to continue the presentation. So they only can listen to me. So 2 people stay all the way until the end, but no sales. Then last week I do it again. 25 people register, 5 people show up, 2 stay all the way until the end, but still no sales. But still continue. Tomorrow I do it again, then or Saturday I do it again. Every week I do twice in order to practice. Yeah.
I love this mindset, man. Okay, so know that. Take a look at the things you can learn from Jason. Okay, number one, notice it doesn't take a lot to practice. Okay, so remember, some of you are saying, but speaking to all these people that don't know who I am seems very scary. Okay, but is speaking to 2 people scary? Is speaking to 5 people scary? Right? Where do you draw a line? Maybe start off with, right? So notice the numbers. Even if 20 people registered, I can tell you today's numbers for a live webinar is about 20%, 30% show up rate. Okay, so that means this is industry standard. 5 people will show up. 5 people who show up, super normal, right? The fact that you have 50% stay until the very end, great. Okay, that's a start. Okay, so 2 people stay till the end, right? I want you to know that whatever excuse that is in your mind right now, if you have not done that first webinar, you made it all up in here. Some of you probably said, sounds like a large budget. No, it's not, right? How much do you think it is to get 5 people to show up on a webinar? Really?
My lead about 8 ringgit per lead. It means 8 ringgit per lead.
Just so you know, 8 ringgit is $2 per lead.
Yeah.
Okay, $2 per lead, right? You will have spent that money on something you didn't need to impress somebody you didn't like anyway. Okay, so go spend that money to get practice. Okay, this is for all of you. Like, I'm very inspired by Jason doing this. Okay, so another one for you guys, it's like, if you haven't done it before, is because, you know, you created some story. Like, I'm not ready yet. It's never gonna be ready. Okay, when I train with my friend and trainer Jordan Yo, he has got this saying all the time. He says, pick up the weights for the next set even before your mind is ready for it. Because every time, you know, we do a set and we want to recover before the next set, before I'm ready, he will always say, pick up the weights before your mind is ready. And then your body will adjust. And I love that every time he tells me. I mean, there's so much truth to that. Because in the middle of the reps, you realize that you were ready all along. Have the same mentality. Take the plunge, okay? Commit to doing one. Because when you commit to doing one, even though you're not ready, I can promise you, you will do whatever it takes to be ready. If right now you commit to a live webinar in 2 weeks from now, I promise you, because you made that commitment to a group of people and you don't want to screw up and you don't want to make false promises, you will find a way to be ready 2 weeks from now. Okay? Because when you commit to something, that is when you move something that is important, that is urgent, to critical. You hear me say this all the time. I constantly put myself deadlines where I commit to either a group of people or somebody else so that something that is important becomes crucial. That's what I did for a ton of stuff. Okay, okay, Jason, go ahead. Please
Actually,
continue.
for me, right, how I make actually the important to critical, before I ready for my presentation, slide deck, and also my script, I launch a Facebook ad first. I launch a Facebook ad on the date first, then only I start to prepare for my presentation and the script. Because I want to have a deadline. Because else I need to prepare everything for perfect, right? I can't be launch a presentation. I just launch a Facebook ad first, then only I prepare for my presentation slide and also script. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I see that you sent me a slide deck. Do you want to go through that slide deck? And
I sent you the latest one. I'm not sure whether Eli got send you the latest one or not. I even
is it
send you my
3.0?
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
3.0. Okay, so let's take a look at this slide deck, and then I'll coach and give you feedback on it. Okay, so before we look at the slide deck, okay, so this is for everybody. We need to know who it is that we talk to, who it is that turned up on a webinar. Chances are, okay. So, and this you roughly know based on your Facebook targeting. Okay, so based on your Facebook targeting, who did you target?
Insurance advisor, real estate agent, network marketer, salespeople.
Okay,
Very clear.
very good. Okay, so
by building your influence online, it means how salespeople can build their influence online, how they can become an influencer, not a lifestyle influencer, but knowledge-based influencer. It means how do they build their influence on social media? Like what you said just now, to bigger who, because ultimately their product was still the same, their service was still the same, but it's a bigger who to determine customer whether they choose to pay you or not.
Okay, great. So on your page, okay, and then there's a lot of moving parts, obviously, but on the page that it says, "Are you an insurance agent? Are you in
on the ad, on the Facebook ad?" Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now they kind of identified themselves, and when they show up, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So let's take a look at the slide deck, and let's kind of see. Are you able to see your slide deck on screen right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with the title. Okay. Get new customers, generate more leads, and stand out from the crowd by building your influence on social media, even if you are new and unknown at the moment. Okay. Okay, so one thing I would want to do is I would want to not, and this is for later, but in terms of design, I don't want to have the whole thing as white because it's a little bit hard to read. Okay, and because it's a little bit long, but this is just a design thing. The design thing is at the end. Okay, we want to figure out messaging first. Okay, so get more customers. Get new customers, generate more leads, and stand out from crowd by building your influence on social media, even if you are new and unknown at the moment. Okay. How many of you would like to have a lot more income impact in your lives? Want to make your greatest year ever? Okay. Now, I know that this is what I say to start off with a universal. First thing I want to do is I want you to remember these lines, but not put it in the slide. Okay. So, in my book, Platform Closing and Improving Presentations, I always say start off the presentation by asking 2 questions that they will say is a yes. Okay, that's great. But I want to start because that will enable you to be the authority, to be in control. But I don't want you to putting these questions in here because then it makes you sound robotic, like you're reading off the slides. I always want to make sure that it doesn't look like you're reading off slides, okay? Because these 2 questions doesn't require to be on the slides, okay? So you can you can start off by with this, and then after that, and then you can ask the questions with while you're on this slide, right? So how many of you would like to have more impact and influence in your life? Let me know in the chat below. Say yes, so that I know they're here as well, right? At the same time, how many of you are excited to be able to discover how you can make 2019 to be your greatest year ever? Let me know in the chat below. Okay, so now it's not like robotic and scripted because they are seeing this, but they are forced to listen to you because they can't read this off the slide. Okay, one of the things you want to put to a minimal, okay, and this is for those of you that is speaking on stage like Stephen, try to, and this is the thing that differentiates world-class from average, is that you never want, not never, but you want to minimize the audience reading off the slides. Remember, they can only do one of few things. Either they're reading off the slides or they're looking and listening to you, but they cannot do both or all three things. They're either reading off the slides or listening to you. So if you put in those words and if you put in those things, then they're just reading off. They're not really listening to you. And sometimes, yes, you want to have those words in there like the stack when it really matters. Okay, so do not put in words like that when it's not necessary. Okay, moving forward. So, hi, my name is Jason. Let me start off by sharing with you why this is different. Okay, so Jason, why is this different?
Okay, I want to say because I think a lot of people will be attend the Facebook marketing before, but most of the Facebook marketing, they teach about how to write the ad, target the right people, copywriting. There's only 50% of the equation. The another 50% of the equation is how to build a following, how to build your personal brand. So when you can combine the both equation together, that's how you get an unfair advantage. Number one. Number two, I don't teach based on theory. I actually doing this. So this will be two reasons why this is different.
Okay, okay. When you say that, that's great. But that 50%, it gave me a very small objection. And the objection is, so are you going to teach me Facebook ads or not? Because it sounds like you're not going to teach me that. So if you're not going to so are you going to teach me Facebook ads or not? Because you said no, right? Okay, so that's what I guessed. So if you're not teaching me Facebook ads, remember, most people listening in as well, they don't know Facebook ads. So to them, it would be, so even if I learned this whole thing from you, I still only know 50% of the equation. Right? So now the problem is, by saying that sentence, you created an objection, which is, okay, but I don't know Facebook ads. So if I learned through the whole webinar, I sat through it, I still only know 50% of the equation. I still don't know how to write Facebook ads. Now remember, what makes a great offer, it is when it's positioned as the answer, right? It is positioned as the answer to all of their pains and all of the things they want to do. It needs to be positioned that way. That I don't want to use the word magic bullet because magic bullet's like associated with a lot of scams these days, but it needs to be deemed as the solution, that one thing. Okay, so don't say that there's Facebook ads and there's social media and following, and this will give you the answer to that. Okay, so there are many different angles to this. Okay, so why this is different, you could say this is something I actually do, but one thing that I would say is I would attack and again explore this few angles. You could say what I just said today. People will pay you more for who you are than what you know. Okay, and ultimately, what I remember your story from the last time we did our coaching session on a call like this a few months ago, was when you said you were a $1 million agent in the is it insurance?
Yes.
Insurance, right? Okay. Do you have anything that says that in the slide deck? Let me see.
Yeah, later on the success story.
Later on the success story. Okay. Okay, one thing that I want to be able you to capture the attention and say this is not theory is this, okay? From here, I do not feel that your strength is in doubling down on the fact that you are an influencer with those numbers on Facebook. Because if you were to compete in that market, people like me would be able, and there's a lot of people who have a much bigger following on Facebook and Instagram. So I would not want to compete in that category, because if you did that, sure, I know you've been spending time and effort building that Facebook page and following, which is great. But I feel that that is not how you should lead the presentation with, because if you lead with that, then the objection in mind would be, but there are a lot of other influencers with much bigger following. Who are you to teach me that? However, if you led with, here's why this is different. Here's why this is different, because I'm a $1 million agent where I've done millions of dollars in deals. In fact, these are my different awards. And what you're about to learn is that as an insider in the agency business, in the insurance industry, I'm going to be able to be showing you things that has generated millions of dollars, not from the angle of theory, but an actual being in the trenches, being a practitioner. Now that is something not many people can say, but there's going to be a lot more people that can be ahead of you in that category of influencer.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to the slide deck. Okay, let's continue back to the slide deck. So I want you to be able to lead with that. Okay, not with the Facebook page, because the Facebook page. Let me kind of elaborate a little bit on this, not just for you, but for everybody here when it comes to creating an offer. Okay. I want all of you to order this book called Play Bigger. Okay. Play Bigger is probably my best read. Let me just kind of show you the image of Play Bigger. Okay. Yeah. Play Bigger. Okay. So, let me just kind of make sure that it's the, okay. Google, look up on Amazon and order this book called Play Bigger. Okay, how rebels and innovators create new categories and dominate markets. Okay, Play Bigger. Now, this is for all of you. Okay, this is so important to understand how big companies, thought leaders, entrepreneurs dominate their marketplace, not by trying to overtake an existing leader or dethrone a category king. Okay, it's very important to know that. Now, what I mean by that is this. In every single market, there's a category king, right? And if we try to go in there and compete with that person, odds are you'll never win, right? If I wanted to brand myself as being good in, let's say, sales funnels, I know that the terminology sales funnels right now is owned by Russell Brunson. Nobody else will be able to dethrone him. Okay. And same thing for Russell Brunson, when he went into that market, what was it that he did? He dominated a new space, and he made, even though sales funnels at that time was not new or original, he blew up that word and became category king of that word. He made that term sexy. He didn't go, and what was the companies he was competing with at that time? For example, the king was Infusionsoft. And Infusionsoft category king was market automation. Now, what does ClickFunnels do? ClickFunnels is market automation, but they didn't go into the market to create and compete under the category market automation. Okay? Now, what does this mean for all of you? It means that rather than trying to compete and dethrone somebody else, try to carve out your own market or category because it's going to be a lot easier to own and dominate that way. Sometimes it could be a totally new languaging, okay? Because it creates, remember, in proven presentations, I talked about how when you create an offer, it needs to be positioned as a new opportunity. And new opportunities will always out-convert improvement offers, okay? So right now, when you started that webinar and you talked about, so this is going to be a social media thing, that is very red ocean, right? There's a lot of people out there talking about being an influencer. But however, being an influencer in the market in the finance market, now that is niche. That is blue ocean. Okay, you're finding the blue ocean and red ocean. Okay, so anyway, play bigger is basically that. It's just understanding how to dominate markets and categories by not competing with giants who are already in that space. It's about carving out and then owning those words. So you take a look at different influencers, right? Think of the word hustle. Who do you think owns the word hustle?
Gary Vee.
Yeah, right? So I don't want to compete and use languaging like hustle because you will never beat Gary Vee, who owns the word hustle. He owns the word hustle, okay? So if you are somebody in your videos, in social media, and you're constantly talking about how you need to hustle and you need to grind, you are now going to be just another Me Too influencer who will forever be in Gary Vee's shadow because Gary Vee owns the word hustle. So it's not just for product creation, it's also in messaging. Okay? Who owns the word 10x right now? Right?
Peng
Think
Joon.
about that. Right? So the word 10x, even though it's not original, right? Everybody talked about how 10x has been around for a really long time. But because Grant Cardone comes in and now all of his videos, his events, his books are all around the word 10x, he now owns the word 10x. Okay? So everybody else on this call, you don't want to be going out there and trying to spread the word of 10x because no matter how good you are in marketing 10x, there will be people who would be, well, this guy just copied Grant Cardone, right? So that is what I mean by category king. It all begins with your messaging, what you say on social media, what you say on your pitches. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is for all of you to understand it. So why is this different? It's different because of that. Here's my bold promise. How you can explode your personal brand, reach more people online, turn skeptic strangers into raving fans who will buy pretty much everything without having you beg for it. Okay, now what I like about bold promises is that if it is specific. Now, how you can explode your personal brand will not be as powerful as how you can get an additional 100,000 followers by the end of the year. That's not going to be, or a shorter promise would be how you can get your next 10,000 followers in the next 30 days, right? I would rather have specificity. So like my bold promise would be, let's say for my event codex would be, my bold promise is by the end of this webinar, you would discover how you will double your conversion rates on your next webinar. Or if you've never done a webinar or a live event before, you have full clarity on exactly how to do so. Okay, so it's specific. Come up with something specific rather than generic. Because explode your personal brand, it's like most people will not know what that means. It's like, what does that mean? It's like I cannot relate to that. I don't know what explode your personal brand means. I don't know the benefits to exploding my personal brand. I am shy and introverted. I don't know if I want to explode my personal brand. right? Reach more people is different, okay? So maybe it would be double your sales by reaching more people online. Now that is specific. If you said double your sales by reaching more people online, okay? Turn skeptics, strangers into raving fans. Now these are good marketing words, but I want to see specificity. Okay, so maybe we can create the specificity as we move deeper in. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so give me an example of how you start with this. So what is this slide about?
This one because I don't want, because they have another connotation to influencer. I don't want they think it's lifestyle influencer. So I want to define influencer first. Then later on, I will share my epiphany story about influencer. But now I want to have a mindset on them is that it's not lifestyle influencer. It's a knowledge-based influencer. Means that people follow you because not of your look, your body. People follow you because of your knowledge, because of your experience, your value. So I want to give the clarity of the definition of an influencer first. Else they will think will be a lifestyle influencer throughout the end of the webinar. They will think about it's a lifestyle influencer.
Okay.
I'm not talking about influencer there. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing to be aware of, okay, and this is very, very common for many people who present online and even offline, is this. Most people start off by defining a certain terminology, which is what you did over here, and that is exactly when you lose them. Okay, now this is so crucial. If that this is another huge differentiator between world class and average. Okay, it's this. I want you to imagine that it's like a magic trick. Okay, and you are now explaining what influencer means. Now, a magician who wants to educate would show you the magic trick first, and then if he's teaching you, he would say, so here's how the magic trick happens. Now, explaining a terminology is the same thing. You don't want to start off by explaining. Can you imagine this? If they explain how the magic trick works first, and then if the magician performs the magic trick, what happens? The magic trick now looks super lame, right? It's like, what? That's it? It looks, because there wasn't that suspense of like, wow, okay? Now, explaining a terminology is the same thing. It is always about illustrating it through a story. And then from the story, you would be saying, so that's the difference between a nobody and an influencer. Now, so for example, that could be my Arnold analogy. So imagine you'd be, so rather than saying influencer, you have Arnold. This is Arnold. Arnold just recently did a tweet, da 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 da. This is bench press Ben, okay? Guy with six-pack abs. So this is the guy who, like, what does this guy have to do in order to charge 20 grand? Right? So now, when they see that analogy, that's when you can say, now that's the difference between somebody who's good at what they do and somebody who has influence. Somebody that is an influencer. Because now you get their attention. They're leaning in and they're listening to a very interesting story. Therefore, when you reveal, remember, it's a magician revealing the hand. Now they want to know how it works. But if you started off as somebody who reveals the hand first, they have no idea or no compelling reason to listen to how the trick was done. Okay? So same thing. I was just telling Stephen the other day, right? Drop shipping. You don't want to start off by explaining. So this is what, because that's what every other speaker marketer does. They go on stage, they put that slide up and say, so this is the definition of drop shipping. Drop shipping is the da-da-da. And that is exactly what puts people to sleep. I've seen speakers go up on stage and According to the dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, the definition of blockchain is like, why would somebody do that, right? That's when the entire crowd, their eyes glaze over, they're looking at their phones and they're not listening to you. Okay, so I want you to incorporate, and then I know, Jason, I'm going very slow right now. We haven't even passed the introduction. Now, why am I doing this? Because I want you to understand that creating a slide deck that is compelling is actually a never-ending process. It really is. I'm still working on my slide deck. Okay, there are always the tweaks to be made, and I don't want to rush it because for you and for everybody here, I would rather you get these few points deep than me going surface level across the entire thing, across the entire slide deck in an hour, and then after that you leave and you're like, I don't know what to do next. Okay, there's all these great feedback, but I don't know what to do. I'd rather give you these few things. We go deep so that you can make those changes, where I'm talking about the principles as well, so that when you implement that, you'll really, really understand the differentiators. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so influencer. Jason, is there something that's coming to your mind yet in terms of the story? Because I see actually below here,
Yes, the story will come after that. The story will come after I hit the wall. It means life was good until up, still up. No. Previous slide.
Previous slide. This one.
No. Still previous. Okay, yes, yeah. Yeah, almost. I think about 20, about slide 20. 22, 23, 20. Let me check.
Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I don't want to move around too much, but another thing for all of you guys is try to minimize the use of stock photos. My entire slide deck, I try to have 0. Okay, that's my goal. 0 stock photos. So failed 13 times in job interview. I just would like, so rather than this, find a picture of you that time when you failed 13 times in job interview.
It's quite difficult to find. I tried to find, but quite difficult to find those pictures.
Yeah, I just want you to be aware. I know it's not easy sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I like this. This makes it very real. Okay, multi-million-dollar club award member, right? 2015, 2013, 2014. So you can say since 2013, I have been in the I've been a $1 million producer for the last couple of years. Okay, since. So start off with 2013, 2014, 2015, and make it an animation so that they see that growth. Okay, 2013, 2014, 2015. Okay, so that they can see that every year it's been growing. Okay, so let's Jason, I want you to tell me your story on this, because I find this okay, so this is where I see you as category king. Okay, you can dominate this part as category king, but in using this angle rather than the influencer angle. Okay, tell me more about this. Tell us more about this.
This one will be sharing my success result in order to gain the credibility, because my target audience majority will be on salespeople. So I want to actually gain the credibility. So I will actually share through my entire sales journey, how I become a top sales. I think I just want to show the credibility, not to actually show my result. I want to inspire them, they can do it as well. I want to gain the credibility first.
Yes.
Because mind, they will think, why should I listen to you, right?
Okay, Jason, tell me, how did you become a multi-million-dollar award member? What was that? How do you do it?
Last time we used to be, but this one will be not related to influencer, because that's why I've tried to find
That's fine. I don't want to force. Just tell me about this. How did you become a multi-million-dollar club award member?
I think will be attitude, mindset. This is a key.
Okay, strategy-wise, back then, how did it work?
Strategy-wise will be more on actually building relationship first before actually selling the product to the customer. Let me try to actually.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. Okay, now Okay, I want you to lead with that. So remember, there's all these different things. Okay, so you could say, I've been a top $1 million earner since 2013. Now, even though platforms in 2013 and 2018 today could be very different, here's the one thing that's never changed. The one thing that has never changed is that you always want to start by building that relationship first. Now, back then in 2013, the platforms were different. But what has not changed is that in the online world, in social media, I took those same principles, I applied it in social media, and it's all about giving priority to the relationship first and not going for the sale. Okay. Most important, right, Jason, I want you to know that your strength is not in positioning yourself as the leader in influencer marketing. Because if you try to compete with that angle, people like me, people will say, so why don't I learn this from Peng Joon instead? I don't want that for you, right? I want people to be able to say like, yeah, obviously Jason is the only logical choice in this marketplace because nobody else can do what he does. Okay. And I can't do what you do in the insurance and agency space in terms of your experience. So I want you to double down on that angle. Okay. Where this is really for people in the insurance market. Okay. I know that, you know, you said that you target people in network marketing, insurance, real estate. But the truth is, broadening your scope of audience actually weakens you. It does not strengthen you. It weakens you. It's going to be a lot easier and a lot more powerful if you start with just one. Okay, eventually you want to scale, yes, broaden up the marketplace. But I know that in order for you to win right now, it is straight up to relate to insurance agents. Just do that right now. Okay. Your change is targeting insurance agents, and your only thing is webinar for insurance agents only. Okay. And when they come, you know that everybody who comes are insurance agents. That's when it's powerful, when everybody unites. And when you say, why is this different? So my name is Jason. I've been a $1 million earner since 2013 in the insurance market. I know exactly what your struggles are. I know exactly what your challenges are. I know exactly what it is that you want to do. And this webinar is to help you exactly overcome those challenges and to help you, you know, double your sales in a period of 3 months. Okay, that's my goal. So right now, the people who are listening in, they will stay all the way to the end. You know why? Because it's targeted. And at the same time, you can dominate that market and category. For all of you that's listening on the call, okay, I want you to write down and think about what niche can you carve out so that you can own that. Okay, it doesn't need to be a huge niche, right? You don't want to be targeting all salespeople. Sometimes people think by targeting more people and making it broad, it means more money. That is actually a very dangerous thing because specificity sells. Okay. There's this person, okay, marketer. Her name is Robin Robbins. She's a marketer. Robin Robbins only markets to one group of people. People who are in cyber security who have no idea how to market. So Robin Robbins is the marketer for people in the cybersecurity niche. So pretty much every single person in the US who owns a cybersecurity firm who wants to improve their marketing, 100% will know Robin Robbins. Robin Robbins does her webinars, her high-level masterminds, all of that to only people in cybersecurity. And because she does that, she is the only logical choice for every single cybersecurity firm. And guess what? Cybersecurity firms obviously have crazy money, right? So she doesn't need to go out there and saying, hey, if you want to learn marketing, come learn from me. No, she just targets cybersecurity firms, okay? There is another event organizer based here in the US called something sushi. Okay. They only target doctors and chiropractors. They are a marketing company. Okay. But guess what? They know that doctors and chiropractors are horrible at marketing. So their entire event is just marketing for doctors and chiropractors. That's it. And guess what? Doctors and chiropractors, do you think they have money? Deep pockets, right? So they're not trying to teach marketing to everybody. They're just teaching marketing to doctors and chiropractors who have the money. They come to these live events, and it's crazy because, put it this way, like the price points that they charge are like a lot more than others because doctors have money. Okay. Now, Jason, you have a great market. Insurance agents are hungry. Many of them have been in that thing for a really long time. They're tired. I know friends who are insurance agents, and they're tired. They're tired of the old school methods, and they want to be able to explore different things. But much more important than that is that they also have money. They're not wannabe entrepreneurs, okay? And if you just focus down on that one niche, you'll have much better languaging and messaging because you can speak their message. That's the most important thing. When you can speak their lingo, okay? When you can use terminology that outsiders do not understand, okay? And that's something I always ask because that helps build rapport. When I was speaking at the Prop Next event in Singapore a couple of weeks ago, the first thing I did was I asked people in the real estate market, people who are agents. The first thing I said to the organizers, I said, what are common terminologies real estate agents use all the time that a normal person may not know? And they said, people like to use the word farm brochures. So I said, what does farm brochures mean? Farming brochures means going out to like the mall and giving out brochures. The terminology they use is farm brochures. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Now, guess what? When I went up there, so that was one of them, right? So I went up there, I said like, so how many of you right now, you are farming brochures? But I can tell you when I said that, the entire room who are filled with real estate agents looked at me like, wow, Peng Joon understands our industry, right? You need to talk their message, and you can only talk their message if you understood it, right? You need, and you do, right? So think about all the different words that only people in industry understands that. Okay. Is there anything you want to add to? I know I've said a lot of things. Anything you want to add to the things I've said just now?
Yeah, so far so good. Yes. But actually, a lot of insurance agent very new to Facebook. Very new to Facebook ad or Facebook influence. They're very new to Facebook.
Okay.
Because they are using all the old tactic method.
Great. Okay. So what I'm saying is you can compete in Facebook and Instagram, but you shouldn't be leading with it. Okay. So I want you to lead with the fact that you've got all the experience and successes you've had in the insurance industry. And then you connect it by saying, so here's the differentiator between 2013 and 2018. The one thing that has never changed since is that the number one priority is still putting relationship first.
Yeah, true. Yes.
So relationship, back then, I put a lot of more stress and emphasis in face-to-face. But I knew that in order to scale that, I had to do it one-to-many. And that is what social media is about. Okay. This today, it is about building a relationship first, except that it's on Facebook. And today, I'm going to be showing you how you can build that relationship, get leads, and close clients through Facebook in the insurance industry. How many of you would like to learn how to make that happen? Okay, so now it's like, Jason is speaking to me. I'm an insurance agent. He understands all my problems. And if you had a good offer, even a decent one, now I can safely say there's nobody else that's doing what you're doing. Okay, but if you try to compete with being an influencer, too many. Okay, too many. Okay, I just want to kind of summarize and wrap up so you know how to make it actionable. Because I know I've given you a lot, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Are you already, Jason? Tell me first of all, before I continue and wrap up, are you already feeling overwhelmed? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Understand.
Okay, you understand. Okay, so what that means to looking at this, okay, is I want you to relate it more to insurance, to your marketplace, okay, to Jason, last time when you were doing all this, your main mode of communication, was it in English?
No, Mandarin. Actually, I'm doing my webinar on Mandarin because my English, I still need to practice. So I targeted people who are mixed because my English, I still need to practice. So I targeted people who are mixed, but people who show up, actually, they know English and they know Chinese based
So
on
your
my face.
webinar, was it in English or Mandarin?
The slide will be in English. I'm speaking on Mandarin, but my Facebook targeting is filtered already. So those people already
Your
for
Facebook ad, was it in English or Mandarin?
English, but actually I do the targeting filter.
Okay,
People
no,
who
okay, all right, okay. Now this makes sense, okay? Okay, Jason, this alone will blow up your numbers. Okay, this alone. Okay, now I've got complete information, okay? This makes a lot of sense. First, your ad needs to be in Mandarin. That's the first thing.
because I can't write Mandarin. That's the key. That's a key.
Get somebody else to write it for you in Mandarin then. Okay? But it needs to be in Mandarin so that it self-selects the people that show up on the webinar. That's very important. Okay? So now people who understand Mandarin, obviously they will self-select and go on the thing. But if you go on English and you Mandarin, so like for me, imagine this, okay? Right now, I could have saw that ad, okay? I could have saw that ad and then I showed up and it's like, this guy's speaking Mandarin. I don't understand Mandarin and I'm going to leave, okay? So now you just wasted a lead, but on top of that, that's why you have a drop, okay? But I can guarantee you, if you started that entire thing in Mandarin, totally different. Okay, now this makes sense. Start the ad with Mandarin. I want your funnel to be in Mandarin as well. Okay, get some.
I need to hire someone to write for me. Is it?
Yes, just doesn't need to be writing for you. Just translate it. Okay, so this is the English version. Go and translate to the Mandarin version. Okay, I want to have that congruence so that the whole thing is in Mandarin. Now, here's what I can tell you about using a different language. Okay, this is another blue ocean and red ocean. Okay, Malaysia market. You look at the people that present in Mandarin. It's a huge market. Okay, I don't know Mandarin, so I'm not in there. But look at the people and their friends as well. You know, but I can tell you, people like Adrian Wee is crushing it, it in the property market only because he's speaking.
You're doing both.
You're doing both. Yeah, you're doing both. But the part that gives him crazy engagements is just pure Mandarin. Okay.
True.
And he was backstage with me the other day, and he kept telling me, Peng Joon, you need to go and learn Mandarin because those are the best students. You see, those people, you know. Anyway, so that's a totally different conversation altogether. But what I'm saying is this: if you make it congruent, this is how you further dominate a marketplace. I want you to be. I see the potential in you being the leader, the thought leader in the insurance market. And it's huge. Remember, if you use that as your starting point, that's how you can scale. But you can't scale by targeting everybody first. That's not going to work. You scale by dominating one market, and from that one market, that's how you can move to the other markets. Okay, own the insurance industry market first for people that's Mandarin speaking, and that's how you scale. Okay, so what I want to do, and I know this is the differentiator already. Ads in Mandarin, funnel in Mandarin, your entire slide deck, all Mandarin.
You mean email everything Mandarin? Email, follow up everything Mandarin, right?
Yes. If you know that that's the market you want to serve, Mandarin, because that's what how you put, and I can see your mother tongue when you present in Mandarin, fluent. Okay, so use Mandarin. Use the language that you're comfortable with.
Where to find the translator on the online for me, for them to translate for me?
Any Chinese guy in Sungai Wang can do it for you. Okay. So anyway, if you want like my team's contact, just email. You know, Marcus will send it to you. We have a person who does it, and for Mandarin as well. Okay, but that's your goal. And I know it's not a small shift. It's a very big shift. But Siler says he can help you translate. But what I'm saying is, just this shift alone will give you that message to market match, which is what I want all of you to be able to realize, right? Understanding that once you have that message to market match, that's where the real power is. Okay. Boom. Okay. So Jason, first of all, I want to, congratulate you again for taking that leap, something that many people will not do. I hope all of you can have learned from Jason. And as always, the reason why I spent the entire session today learning through him is because there's a ton of stuff we can all learn through him. Okay. The attitude, the willingness to grow, learn, willingness to fail. And I can tell you, this is where you will look back at this session today and you will say, I'm glad I did all those webinars that totally bombed, because that was what allowed me to find my voice. And that's what you guys need to do. Because when you guys do that, that is what will allow you to find your voice as you make the tweaks and improvements. Okay, I want to thank all of you for being here. I really appreciate all of you every single time. And I do notice your names, your faces. I may not call you out because I don't want to put you on the spot. But for some of you, I've seen you guys here very consistently, and I appreciate you being here. But sometimes learning and listening in is not enough. Okay, I want you to take action. I want you to be submitting what you've been doing to my team into the Facebook group so that I can help and serve you the best way I can. Okay, I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next session 2 weeks from now.
Thank you, Peng Joon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.